All right, this is the Razer Huntsman Mini. It is a $120 10 keyless gaming keyboard. It brings all of the Razer quality and functionality that you would expect, but in a very small package, also known as a 60%. Now, the drive behind these small keyboards is for gamers who are looking for more room for their mouse on their desk. And I get that, I really do. So I use a giant keyboard that is ergonomically friendly. And the reason I do that is I need better ergonomics. I tend to stand when I work. I use an ergonomic mouse. Ergonomic keyboard actually helps me even more than an ergonomic mouse because it's, two hands that are both affected. But with this keyboard, I did run it for a few days. I didn't give it the multiple weeks that I typically do on keyboards because I just couldn't really tolerate it with my wrists. And that's a bit of, it's too bad for me because my motivation is not the gamer side that I described. It's the space-saving side. When I first saw these, gain in popularity, it was before I knew about the gamer drive behind it. I was like, man, I really want this. This is awesome, right? It's tiny. It does everything I need it to do except for the number pad. But I can get a wireless number pad, just put it on the side. That'd be a great setup. But unfortunately, because of the way it's structured, it's a problem for me, and I'm in the minority here, I just couldn't drive it too much. So I'll get you a closer look at the keyboard here in a moment, kind of walk you through the features and what I know about it, what my experience was like. I'll put all the negative stuff to the side about my wrist because it's probably not going to be your problem. And yeah, I'll walk you through it. If it is your problem, get an ergonomic keyboard. All right, here we go. As I mentioned, this is the Razer Huntsman Mini, $120, mostly made out of plastics, although there is a bit of aluminum just here on the top of the keyboard deck. So between the key actuation and the base, there's a little strip of aluminum. It does feel good. Now, it's only 15 ounces, so it's quite light, but it's also in a small package. So if you compare it to another keyboard that might be 30 ounces, it's also a lot smaller. So the reason that's important is it doesn't feel cheap, right? It is a dense little device and it screams quality in my opinion. It's USB connected right here through this gap. That is the only way to connect it to your machine. So it's not wireless in any way. So you get USB-C out and it plugs in over USB-A. Now the overall feel of the keys is really something special, and it's a shame for me. I really wish I could drive this every day. Just listen to how quiet this is. Now, it's not whisper quiet, right? My ergonomic keyboard I showed you earlier, it's quiet, is quieter than this Huntsman Mini, but something that feels this good and is this quiet, I really like. Now, it is a bit of a more of a mushy actuation, so you're not going to get that clicky clackety mechanical sound, but it is a mechanical keyboard. So, okay, a couple things I want to point out. You get the full Razer Chroma treatment here. There are no limitations or restrictions on Razer Chroma in this device as compared to something like a flagship Razer keyboard, like the the Black Widow V3 Pro, which I'm working on a full review of right now. That keyboard it's just amazing. It's so good. But, no limitations, right? It's the same Chroma capability. It's still running inside of Synapse 3.0. So keep that in mind. If you're into the Razer profiling, if that's why you're looking at the Razer 10 keyless versus some other brand, then you're not going to be left behind. Okay, the other thing I want to point out is how multi-function keys are going to work here. So most of these keys have some kind of secondary feature to them. Now, if you look closely at the period and question mark keys, or / rather, you're going to have pause and insert as additional functionality. And as I went through this, I was like, well, wait a minute, what about the function key row? Okay, so you got your number row, okay, 1 through 0. And those have all the same secondary functions. So shift 7 is ampersand, for example. Then if you look underneath those keys really closely, you're going to see the function key. So F1 through F12. Well, now what about all the multimedia stuff that we normally see associated with the function key row? Now, when I first saw this, like, well, that sucks. I can't change my brightness. I can't change my volume, but it actually is here. And I can't tell you off the top of my head where it is. So I got to flip it over. Okay, so G and H is going to be the brightness of the keyboard. And then Q through T are how you'll adjust the multimedia. So change a track and that type of thing. Long-term use on this, I can't imagine being as accessible as a standard keyboard. but there's no workaround here. Like, this is it. If you're looking for a minimal keyboard that's, by necessity 10 keyless, it's also going to have to be dedicated media keyless as well. Now, one thing Razer could do, I suppose, is they could ship an additional, maybe even a wireless, I don't even know what to call it, but like a secondary multimedia device they just set on your table and maybe, or your desk, and you kind of move it around. Maybe they can make it capacitively charge, like their Viper mouse does on their mouse pad. So I don't know if you've seen that, but there's a mouse pad that Razer produces that is a wireless charger. So as you're using the mouse, it'll charge. I think it's called the Firefly. They could do, I'm really getting like crazy ideas here. But anyway, they could do something like that. But for what this is, it is a perfectly minimal 10 keyless keyboard, 60% keyboard for 120 bucks with all the Razer quality you can expect. So my gripes earlier about the feel with my wrists, hey, that's just my problem that I got to deal with. So maybe I represent maybe like 1% of people. I have no idea. But I think for most people then, if they're looking for a 10 keyless, they're going to be really happy with this. Now, there's one negative that I have to mention. For whatever reason, mine shipped wobbly. It drove me bananas. So it's probably something with the size of the feet. It does feel to me that this particular foot is thicker than this foot. And I think that's contributing to it. But we'll see. Maybe I'll take them off and just see how they perform. Now, there is the adjustable height, so you can do a 6-degree grade or a 9-degree grade in typical Razer fashion. So yeah, I like it. Very cool. Oh, I just noticed this too. Look at how it says for gamers by gamers on the back. That's really neat. So yeah, great job by Razer. It's a good keyboard. I definitely recommend it if you're into the 10 keyless movement. And just, make sure yours doesn't wobble. And if it does, return it. Get one that doesn't wobble. If you can't find one that doesn't wobble, let me know. That'd be really weird. I could take that back to Razer. All right, thanks a lot for watching. See you on the next one. Cheers.